Today I'd like to talk about 3 levels of the path to realize Nibbana. The Buddha gave many teachings for practicing yogis, and there are 84,000 individual teachings. And this 84,000 is really quite a lot. There are 21,000 teachings in the Vinaya, the monastic discipline, the basket of the Vinaya, and there are in the Sutta, the basket of suttas, there are 21,000, and in the Abhidhamma, there are 42,000 of these individual pieces. So these 84,000 teachings can be summarized as the 3 baskets, the baskets of the monastic discipline, the suttas, and the Abhidhamma. Or another way of looking at that is the 5 Nikayas, that is the long discourses, the middle-length discourses, the connected discourses, the numerical discourses, and then the small Khuddaka Nikaya. So mainly just that is the same 3 baskets are grouped as 5 Nikayas, or if you want to count volumes in the library, there are over 40. If we had to learn all that before we practiced, would we be able to practice? Is it reasonable to think that we would have to learn that whole entirety of the Buddha's teachings in order to practice? So to summarize the Tipitaka, the 3 baskets, in summary, they are the 37 factors of enlightenment. And these 37 factors are made up of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, as you know, which you know, the 4 kinds of supreme effort, which we've also mentioned, and then the 4, what are called the 4 bases of power, the 5 powers, the 5 controlling faculties, the Eightfold Path, and the 7 factors of enlightenment. And the essence of these 37 factors of enlightenment is the Eightfold Path. This is the essential core, or the essential task of the Buddha's teachings. If 8 things are too many to remember, then we can just think of the Eightfold Path as being made up of 3 groups. The morality group, or Sila, the Sila group, the concentration group, or the Samadhi group, and the Panya, the wisdom group, or Panyakanda. And of these, the essence is right mindfulness, or samasati. And this is also called in the Dhammapada Appamada Sati. Appamada means to never be without sati, never being separate from the quality of being aware of what is happening. To summarize the entire Tipitaka, we have to establish the path factor of right sati. The Eightfold Path is called the truth of the path. That's one of the noble truths. And this Eightfold Path leads to Nibbana, the truth of cessation. There are 3 stages to the path. Mula, in Pali, the root path, R-O-O-T. And then second is the forerunner Vipassana path. And third is the noble path. And if we develop these, they will lead straight to Nibbana. Now, a Vipassana center, such as this center, is developed for the is established for the development and practice of the Eightfold Path, and that we have a place like this is something to be happy about. Now, what is the root path? It starts with the right view of karma and karma results, called in Pali Kama Sakata Samadeti. And this right view of karma and its result is the foundation of Buddhism. It's this belief in karma and its result. That is, there are wholesome actions. These wholesome actions bear good results. There are unwholesome actions, or kama, and these bear bad results. So to understand this, or to have confidence that this is the case, it's not actually something you can directly prove, but it is something that people can understand intuitively or logically. And this is what is called right view of karma and its results. And this is the beginning of the root path. When I say wholesome actions, I mean what is called kusala in Pali. And unwholesome actions are called akusala in Pali, just so that you know that's what I'm talking about. The root path also includes the 3 path factors of sila, or morality. And these are right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These 3 factors of the 3 factors making up sila are part of the root path as well as part of the vipassana path. Right speech means not lying or not speaking untruth. Also, not slandering. And here, we translate it as slandering, but what it means is to try to break up a friendship or to try to break up a group, etc., that is in harmony by going to one party and lying to them, to deliberately create a division, to get the person or the group to be aligned towards you as opposed to aligned towards the other person. Then you go to the other person and say something false again to deliberately break them up. And so that is what is meant by slandering in this case. They're trying to destroy the unity or the harmony of a group, however large or small, and make them to gain some. You want to get them in some part of that group or some person to be friendly to you. Refraining from slander is also right speech. Also, refraining from harsh speech and refraining from frivolous, useless talk. So all these 4 aspects constitute right speech. Not lying, not slandering, not speaking harshly, and not speaking idly. If we avoid right speech, then our speech will be correct. The next aspect is right action. Right action is refraining from killing, which is panatipata. Refraining from stealing, which is in Pali adinadana. And then refraining from harming with regard to the sense pleasures. That's a polite way of saying sexuality. Refraining from harming another person's spouse or children, which is called kamesu mechachara. Refraining from these 3, killing, stealing, and adultery, make up right action. Right speech is to refrain from wrong speech, and right action is to refrain from wrong action. So I ask the yogis who are meditating now, are you engaged in wrong speech? No, of course not. Are you doing anything wrong physically? Killing, stealing? Adultery? No. So you have 2 factors of the path of morality complete. Then there's right livelihood. And this means to keep right speech and right action in your work. That means not making a living by killing or stealing or committing adultery. And I think as far as I understand it, this can also involve like trafficking other people to perform sex and so on. And then lying, not lying in your course of work, not doing a type of work that involves slandering, not speaking harshly, and not speaking idly. So that is, right livelihood means not making a living in these 7 ways of wicked conduct, but instead employing the opposite 7 kinds of good conduct. And that makes up right livelihood. So we have the 3 path factors of Sila, in addition to the right view of karma and its effect. And in addition to these, there is right concentration. Yogis who practice the jhanas, for them, right concentration means to practice to develop neighborhood concentration and absorption concentration, called upachara samadhi and apana samadhi in Pali. But for us, using the method taught by the Buddha and explained by the late Most Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, the yogis develop jnana samadhi, not jhana samadhi. They develop knowledge concentration, not absorption concentration. So jnana samadhi is firm establishment of the observing mind on the presently arising object of observation. So for us, this is right concentration. And these 5 factors just mentioned, the right view of karma and its effect and its results, the 3 path factors of Sila and right concentration make up the root path, which is the necessary foundation to do Vipassana. With this foundation complete, then we can practice. The yogis here are doing sitting meditation, doing walking meditation, observing daily activities. And doing this, we develop the 5-fold path, which I spoke about last night. There are 5 factors that get developed. The 5-fold path of practice, every moment of the time, trying to observe the object with effort and aiming. Those are 2 factors. And then there's the mindfulness and concentration, effort, and then knowledge develops. So these 5, you'll hear them later. So this 5-fold path of practice that happens when we observe with Vipassana, plus the 3 factors of Sila, make up the 8-fold path. And this, during our practice, is called the Vipassana Forerunner practice. The Vipassana Forerunner path. In terms of the practice, when we practice meditation according to this Mahasi method, we note the rising, falling, sitting, touching, going, coming, standing, eating, drinking, bending, stretching, and other bodily actions. And while we note bodily, note and know bodily actions, when thinking arises, we make a note of it. When seeing arises, we note the mental physical process of seeing as it happens. Seeing. We note the mental physical process of hearing when it happens as hearing and hearing. Same with smelling. We note it, we observe it when it happens as smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing. So when we practice like this with observing like this, there are the 5 factors of Vipassana plus 3 morality path factors. And this is called the worker path. In Pali, Karaka Maganga, the worker path. And this worker path is another name for the Vipassana forerunner path. When a worker has a daily job, then when the worker works, he or she gets paid. And it's the same with Vipassana. When we do the work, we get paid. We get paid. A worker gets money, and a yogi gets path fruition and nibbana. And before that, they get Vipassana knowledge. We take the precepts every day, which means that we fulfill the path factors of right speech, right action, and right livelihood, 3 factors. And next, we have right effort. The meditating yogi makes effort to practice. The yogi tries to note rising when rising appears, tries to note falling when falling appears, tries to note seeing when seeing appears, and so on. And this effort is called right effort. So trying to note is called right effort. Trying to observe. There are also 4 aspects of effort that have been previously mentioned. The 4 kinds of supreme effort. That is, trying to keep unwholesomeness or akusala that has not yet arisen from arising. This is right effort. And also trying to dispel unwholesomeness that has already arisen. This is also right effort. So we have to take care not to let unwholesomeness arise, and take care every time that unwholesomeness does arise, we have to dispel it. How do we dispel unwholesomeness that has already arisen? We forget about it. So if we think about it, it will only get worse. Therefore, we dispel the unwholesomeness that has already arisen. It's already happened. So it's not in the present anymore. We have to forget about it. And that is right effort. So on the wholesome side, the types of goodness, good deeds that have not yet arisen, we have to make effort so that they do arise. We have to make effort to do good deeds of generosity or morality or meditation that have not yet been done. And this is right effort. Establishing a meditation center like this is also right effort. A center like this can succeed because of wholehearted effort, when everyone involved can put aside their personal affairs and do the work enthusiastically. So this is right effort. Also, donating effort to support the yogis who practice. Donors, they contribute food. And yogis give up their personal time to devote themselves to the practice. So these are all examples of making effort to cause the as yet unarisen good deeds of dana or sila or meditation, bhavana, to arise. So this is right effort. Also, there is the effort to develop wholesomeness that has previously arisen to completion. And we do this by reflecting on it. When did I meditate before? After this retreat, we can remember that we went on this retreat. The goodness of this, when we remember it, is a way of multiplying it. When we recollect the good deeds that we've done. When did I do dana? When did I keep sila? Etc. When did I volunteer? So when we've done something good, it will only increase by reflecting on it. Because when we reflect on wholesome things, it brings wholesome feelings to our mind. It's not good to reflect on the bad things. that we did. That doesn't help. Because if we dwell on the unwholesome, if we happen to dwell on it, then we should note it as remembering. So trying to note like this is right effort. Also, noting the unwholesomeness, noting it as remembering is right mindfulness or right sati. In short, we should remember that right effort means to make the effort to develop wholesomeness and to make the effort to dispel unwholesomeness. What attitude should we have if we want to realize past fruition and nibbana? The attitude that the Bodhisattva took sitting under the Bodhi tree. May only my skin, sinews, and bones remain. May my flesh and blood dry up. Never mind if I die. I won't reduce my effort. There will be no reduction of my effort until I reach that which can be gained by human strength and human effort. Now the yogis are practicing, and practicing with a correct method that has been given by the teacher. When there's not enough effort, it can happen that the yogi doesn't reach path and fruition. What they're practicing is correct. And the yogi has paramis, that is the perfections that support that are needed in order to progress and realize path and fruition. But there is not yet enough effort. Therefore, the path factor of right effort is not yet complete. So whose responsibility is it to make the effort? It's ours. We simply have to try to make enough effort to practice. And it's not simply to gaze at things the way we do when we look at flowers in a garden. We really have to make effort as described. And if we do, we can gain the Dhamma. So the group of concentration factors begins with right effort. Following on the path factor of right effort is right sati, and that is to practice the four foundations of mindfulness. Observing bodily actions, which is Kayanupassana Satipatthana, observing the acts of mind, Chittanupassana Satipatthana, observing feelings that arise, Vedananupassana Satipatthana, and observing the mental, physical phenomena of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on, that is Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. To observe these four kinds of objects continuously is right sati, right mindfulness. Right concentration is when the noting or observing mind is stable on the arising object. The abdomen rises and the mind sticks to it with a plunk. And the falling appears, the mind sticks to it with a plunk. There's kind of an onomatopoeia that is in there. So and these are right concentration. Observing lifting, moving, placing, standing, turning, when the noting mind sticks to each object. Just sticks to it. That is right concentration. So right effort, right sati, and right concentration make up the concentration group. And next, there is the wisdom group, which is right view and right thought. When these are preached in the suttas, for example, this is the order in which they are given, but when we practice, the order in which we experience them is that right thought is first and then right view. When we are just going about our daily life, then right thought is when we're thinking about wholesome things, thinking about giving, thinking about practice, and so on. But for yogis, it means the aiming factor. Right thought means placing the mind, the observing mind, on the object of observation, inclining the observing mind towards the object of observation. This is the aiming factor, and this is right thought, called right thought. So for the Eightfold Path, there are the 3 factors of concentration and the 2 factors of the wisdom path, the right thought, and then, right view. So right view is called Samaditi in Pali, and there are 6 kinds of right view. And they are right view of karma and its results, then what is called jhana samaditi, right view of jhana, vipassana samaditi, right view of vipassana, and then path, right view of path, right view of fruition, and reviewing knowledge. Or we can just say, instead of right view, we can say knowledge. Path knowledge, fruition knowledge, and reviewing knowledge. I will try to finish the talk in 10 minutes from now. I hope that will be okay. Okay, so right view of karma and its results, we have already discussed. The faith that if you do good, it will bear good results, and if there's bad actions, they will bring bad results. So next is right view of jhana. That's knowledge that occurs in absorption concentration. And it's not really relevant for Vipassana yogis, but when a samatha yogi develops the jhanas, that the knowledge at that moment is called jhana right view. It's not bad to gain jhanic concentration. It's good because it can be used as a base for developing vipassana. But we can also develop vipassana without gaining jhanic absorption, but by gaining vipassana concentration. The knowledge contained when we do vipassana, called vipassana right view, is what knows mind and matter each time they arise. So the right view in jhana, it is observation or concentrating on a conceptual object. And so that is jhanic concentration, observation of a conceptual object. And vipassana concentration is observation of a mind and matter object. So how do we observe or know matter? When the abdomen rises, we observe that matter as when we note it as rising, and we know that phenomena. We observe the falling matter. We note it as falling. Or in walking, there's the matter of the lifting or moving, placing, or left step, right step, or lifting, placing. And when we observe these, the knowing that is involved is right view of vipassana. Vipassana right view. When we practice vipassana, there are the 2 factors of the wisdom group, right view and right thought, plus the 3 factors of the concentration group. These 5 are involved, plus the 3 factors of the sila group. And so that makes up 8 path factors, the Eightfold Path. And in Vipassana practice, the path that arises is called the Vipassana Forerunner Path. The Eightfold Vipassana Forerunner Path has to be developed many times. We can't meditate just once, can we? Or can we measure how much we need to meditate? Can we meditate 1 ounce of meditation, or 1 pound, or 1 bushel? So the Vipassana path factors have to be developed innumerable times. And when they are strong enough, the end result is the noble path. And as far as the morality path factors are concerned, before realization of the noble path, We have to keep on taking the precepts to keep our moral purity. But after realization of the Noble Path, the morality becomes automatic because there's no more inclination to kill or to steal or to commit adultery. These are extinguished with the first path knowledge. Before realization of the Noble Path, when we break the precepts, then our sila is broken, but when we take them, then it's fixed again. It remains pure. But when there's realization of the Noble Path, then the Eightfold Path is complete. So why does the Eightfold Path come to completion? It is because the Vipassana factors are strong and high level. And an analogy for the process is like giving birth to a child, in which you might think this is a vulgar example, but it's actually very realistic. When you give birth to a child, can it happen immediately just by thinking about it? No, because to bear a child takes time, right? And can you bear a child just by performing a marriage ceremony? No, because the causal factors of the mother and the father coming together are not there yet. So this is to say that only when the Vipassana path is strong enough will the Noble Path arise. And the Vipassana path has to be developed many, many times. And further, can every couple that marries, can they have a child? Sometimes they're not able to. Although today there's a lot of science that can support fertility. But in any case, after conceiving a child, the parents have to care for the unborn child. And after however many months, 7, 8, or 9 months, the child is born. So in this analogy, the Vipassana path is like being pregnant, and the Noble Path is like giving birth, which is to say, the Noble Path does not arise without meditation. Therefore, first of all, we have to complete the root path, and second, develop the Vipassana path innumerable times until it reaches completion. And to develop the Vipassana path, we simply have to note and know everything. Know with or without labels. It means every rising, falling, sitting, touching, going, coming, eating, drinking, bending, stretching, observing everything. And when there's a lot of knowing, then the truth of the path gets energized. And when the truth of the path is strong, then the Noble Path will arise just once. In that moment, in the single moment of path consciousness, 4 things are accomplished. The truth of suffering is discerned. The cause of suffering, that is craving, is eliminated. The Noble Path is developed and Nibbana is realized. So in that moment, the 4 Noble Truths are discerned, dispelled, the discernment of suffering, dispelling of its cause, realization of the path, realization of Nibbana and development of the path. So to complete the analogy, to have a child, the yogi has to carry the fetus of Vipassana knowledge, and then the child of path knowledge will be born. Why do we develop the Eightfold Path? We develop it in order to know the truth of suffering, not to get rid of it. We develop the path in order to know it. And this truth of suffering is every seeing, every hearing, every smelling, tasting, touching, every kaya, every Vedana, every consciousness, every single thing, all mind and matter, mental, physical phenomena. And we observe them in order to know them correctly, in order to know suffering correctly. When we know suffering, when we know dukkha, we won't want it anymore. And this is dispelling the cause. When we dispel craving, is it still there? No, it's not. It dies out. And this is peaceful. So this is nibbana. We know rising, falling, and in every note, or in every observation, the Eightfold Path is present. There's no killing, stealing, adultery. There's no lying. There's no unjust action. So the Sila path factors, right action, right speech, right livelihood, are complete. There's trying to observe the object. There's awareness of it and the stability of the mind on the object, which is right effort, right sati, right concentration. And the mind is established on the object because right thought places the mind on the object so that it doesn't scatter. And at that moment, we know correctly. The rising, the falling is not a man, it's not a woman. It's just matter that arises and passes away. When we know that it arises and passes away, the rising is matter, knowing it is mind, and the passing away is anicca. When we know that it arises and passes away, that it is impermanent, we also know that it is unsatisfactory, and we know that it is happening completely on its own without any, it is not something we own. So I hope that all of you will be able to develop the path, the being established in the root path, develop the Vipassana path to completion and realize noble path, fruition, and nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.